welcome everyone, and thank you very much for joining this second debate around women's rights, COVID-19, and the future of Europe. We are really happy from the Feminist Europe platform, and also from our co-organizers, Girls for Girls from Poland, because this is the second debate. This is a series of debates that we are organizing to reflect and share common challenges, identify struggles that we are living, that we are experiencing in different countries of Europe around the state of women's rights, and also our contributions, our alternatives, which is the feminist responses to this COVID-19 outbreak consequences. We think that these spaces are really important for us as Feminist Europe platform and all our colleagues here, because there is a need that we share this space, not only for a better communication, not only to learn together of how we are facing these challenges, but also to build together this network that is going to help us be stronger in influencing the agenda. I really think that we cannot accept also these kind of decisions without us, and that we can just bring with these reflections and discussions and debates some ideas which are our demands to bring back to the top of the agenda women's rights and feminist demands. So I'm really happy, and that all the participants to join, but also these just absolutely amazing and strong voices today in the panel. I would like also to have the best co-moderator with me, which is Gosia Wojcicka, that she will be moderating the debate, and an amazing also colleagues in the interpretation, Saskia Pelzer and Adriana Diaz, that will be at the chat and also with technical issues. And of course, all these strong voices, all the panelists, thank you for being here. Elizabeth Sclatter, Kiki, Petroulaki, Anna Gerkat, Marta Lempart, and Eugenia Bretones. Please, Gosia, the word is yours, and let's go for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm going to speak very shortly, and also from my perspective as a person who primarily is a Polish activist, but who has been living in different countries for years now. Now it's Germany, a neighbor country from Poland, which sometimes, as I say, it feels like a different galaxy completely. Today we're going to have, I think, really an amazing group of speakers who will talk about these complex subjects from their direct experience, and giving us this spotlight on women's rights across Europe, which we are very happy about to hear. So I just want to say also that with Neus and people that we interviewed during debates, or also people that we've been talking to during the last months, we would like to have more and more bottom-up pressure and power from below, especially now when Germany is taking over the presidency, and we've already established some contacts with this pan-European initiative called Citizens Take Over Europe. We want to have more impact on the political agenda in Europe, and we also want to use your voices and hear your voices, understand better what is happening in different countries in light or in the times of Corona, and what kind of phenomena it brought to your attention. As a Polish person, I can say that for me, it's confusing to understand Polish politics at the moment with the presidential electoral campaign going on in the background. So I'm very happy to have you all here today with us. As the first round, we would like to ask you for your voices, and we agreed to not to give, let's say, power speeches by each of you. We will start from the topic of gender-based violence brought to us by Kiki. Kiki Petroulaki, so the floor is yours. Please go ahead. Try not to exceed
7 minutes.
Yes.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for taking the initiative to organize this, and thank you also for the invitation. We are very happy to participate in this debate, and I'm going to share with you mostly the experience from Greece, of course, during this very tough period for all of us. So, during this lockdown period, mainly the lockdown, several aspects of everyday life froze for all of us, but the consequences were not the same for all of us. For abused women who had managed to escape the violent relationship before the lockdown, the situation was somehow better in comparison with women who have been trapped under the same roof with the abuser and children. The life for whom become unbearable because they have a double lockdown. As a matter of fact, the lockdown seems to be a paradise for abusers where they were able to exercise their power and control undisturbed on a minute base and not on a daily base. We have several problems here because courts stopped working. The only exception was exceptional cases, and unfortunately, exceptional cases in domestic violence is only murders. Police may arrest abusers, but they were released almost immediately by prosecutors' orders. We have cases where the abuser was out of the police station in less than an hour due to coronavirus situation. Hosting and cancelling became more difficult than it was before because face-to-face appointment cancelled. So the women who were living in the same house with the abuser wasn't able to go out and speak even to the phone with the counselors. The shelters for abused women and children wasn't able to make new admissions because the medical examination that is a prerequisite for entering the shelter was too difficult to be arranged, and this created huge delays or cancellations to many women's plans. On the other hand, we have some positive aspects to point out. The first is that everybody started to realize that women who live in abusive homes, they are in a constant lockdown. And this, we start realizing it via our personal experience and not theoretically speaking. So all people now obtain a better idea on how it is to live in a situation where somebody else restricts your fundamental rights and your freedom and decide for you instead of you how it is to obey the rules out of fear. Namely, now we know a little bit better how it looks like to live with an abuser. The second good thing was that domestic violence was highlighted and obtained more attention than usually due to global campaigns, which also led to national campaigns in Greece. And this was interesting because a large campaign started by the Prime Minister and the President of the Hellenic Republic, who, by the way, is the first in Greece's history that is a woman. And this gave a big publicity because never before a Prime Minister was bothered with domestic violence in Greece. So this created a lot of phone calls in the SOS line, which was 4 times bigger than for April than it was for March. But I'm not sure if this is because more women needed to ask for help or due to this huge campaign for Greece, I mean. And the most important thing good thing that happened was that the national agency that is responsible for shelters and counseling centers for abused women in Greece decided to provide an emergency accommodation for women and children, which was without any bureaucracy to be accepted, and they can leave their house immediately and go there. And this never happened before, but unfortunately it stopped immediately after the lockdown finishes. So to conclude, the biggest problem is the bureaucracy in receiving support. Namely, there is no different way to handle the urgent cases of women and children that are in danger or in great need. There is only one route for all cases, and this route is time-consuming and complex for the survivor and the children. And part of this is due to the non-flexibility of the governmental organizations that are responsible for almost all the counseling centers and the shelters. And to end, we cannot expect for the woman in need who seeks protection, support, and empowerment to escape from domestic violence to be themselves the coordinator of the services they need. Not because they cannot coordinate, not because they are weak necessarily at this point of time, but because this creates additional delays in the crucial period of fleeing home, abusive home, because they have first to find the information, then to find the service, and then to make themselves eligible to receive the service. And I'm going to propose later on our ideas of how to handle this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kiki, for being also such perfectly in time. Just one question from me before we move on to Poland. I would like to ask you if you are aware if similar situations are common for other countries.
From what we read, they were somehow common, namely in most of the countries in the beginning, women were frozen somehow, and then they start requesting more help. But I cannot say how the services work.
So, as you say, it's a matter of reporting it, first of all, monitoring it, reporting it, and then services that can be provided to women. So it's also the case of how many cases are actually reported, right? And how much attention is given to the problem.
But the problem is that we don't have good data about what service is received. We have the numbers for reporting, but we don't know what happened afterwards.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. We're going straight from Greece to Poland, my country, and we have two speakers from Poland, and each of you will be is please asked to not exceed 5 minutes to outline the situation in Poland. Anna Gierczak will start, who is a member of Łódzkie Dziewuchy Dziewuchom, so Girls for Girls Lodz, which I am also a part of, and then she will be followed by Marta Lempart, who is on her way probably to some more action that she's organizing in Poland. So Anna, the floor is yours. Please remember to unmute. Yes.
Okay. Hello, I'm happy to be here and I would like to share my screen with you. Okay. This is a piece of information about our Polish perspective. So the outbreak of coronavirus has confirmed some tendencies which have been observed for a longer time. The first thing which comes to our mind from a feminist perspective is obviously domestic violence. And it's true because in Poland there have been 50% more domestic violence calls registered by a helpline. But I would like to add something more. And at first, I would like to tell you a few words about reproductive rights. And it was said during the first debate. So, in short, reproductive rights in Poland are limited. It's the access to legal abortion is almost unavailable, and we have emergency contraceptive on prescription. So there are many difficulties, and you can see a piece of information about abortion. So figures are totally different from reality, and women who are poor, they are left to their own devices because of this law. And luckily, thanks to Abortion Without Borders, which set up 6 months ago, these women can go abroad to perform their abortions. And this issue is troublesome for us, and I would like to go to another topic, which is LGBT rights, because it's current situation and a hot topic these days. So we are just before the presidential election, and some powerful politicians from Poland, from right wing, of course, they are of the opinion that LGBT people are an ideology, and they threatens this ideology threatens Polish tradition, Polish family, and our identity. And these people are excluded from mainstream. They are at risk of discrimination, and this situation has caused backlash. And luckily, a lot of people have stood up against it. And what is more, the family card is going to be introduced. This is a declaration of our president, who who wants to take care of families, but we should pay attention to the fact that the LGBT people are treated badly. They are treated as ideology, and people they wanted people to be protected from them. Looking back at women's rights, we have a problem of domestic violence. We have a lot of problems connected to discrimination, and LGBT people haven't got any legal regulations, and we haven't got any sex education which could follow the latest standard of education in the world. And the main point of my speech is systemic violence, because I'm of the opinion that all these problems, like limited reproductive rights, gender violence, lack of equal pay, lack of sex education, they have the common denominator. So in the light of COVID-19, we should know that there are many attempts to tighten our abortion law, and women work as caretakers and nurses, and they are the majority of these people, and they are at higher risk of being infected. And we should remember that there is a huge area in our country to fight, because the scope of the problem is huge, and discrimination of LGBT people far-reaching consequences. And our main aim is to react properly and to monitor the ongoing situation. And we hope that the presidential election will be a turning point in our history, because we have many difficulties, and in our country there is mayhem, and a lot of people are confused. I'm totally confused on what is going on in our country. And when it comes to LGBT people and women, there is exclusion and neglection. We aren't in mainstream, and our rights are treated seriously. And now and again,
Anna, I'm so sorry. I'm getting some comments that your voice is breaking, so we cannot hear you very clearly. It's okay. It's not your fault.
Okay.
We are all working online from home. It happens all the time. Okay. But maybe you could try to keep your mic a bit like in one position. I don't know if it's a technical issue.
Okay.
I think you're getting to an end, right?
Okay. Yes. So in my opinion, we shouldn't set new priorities, because our main aims and our needs stay the same. So we should take up this formidable challenge to defend our democracy and fight for our rights. It's crucial for us to be together and to monitor the situation, because we are on the brink of something bad.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, that was really clear, I think. And thank you for your part. I would like to now ask Marta Lempart to also add her opinion on the situation in Poland. Please highlight what you think is the most crucial at the moment, or what is the most burning from the things that are happening in our beautiful country.
I really don't like answering the question which is most important, because many things are happening, and saying that fighting against the ban on abortion might be offensive to someone who thinks that domestic violence is the most important thing, and so on and so on. So basically this is war, so we're being attacked on all the fields, also the economic fields, and many others. So yeah, I won't say which is the crucial one or the most important one, because we are a movement of people from over 100 cities in Poland, and I can't say for everyone that something is the most important one for us. But the thing that happened with the pandemic, and I think this is very significant, and it's something quite innovative compared to things happening all over the world, is that we managed to stop the ban on abortion and the ban on sexual education again. So it's the fourth time since 2016. We had to stop it once in October 3rd, 2016, twice in 2018, and now 2020, back with abortion in the parliament, and added to that ban on sexual education. We also stopped 19 after the parliamentary elections. And I don't know how to share the screen, so I think it will take too much time to actually. Okay, I cannot share the screen because.
What would you like to share? Is there a visual or a website?
Like to share my.
Okay, you should be able to do that.
It's my Facebook basically, because I want to show this. I want to show the
Sure.
Women's Strike Facebook.
I will
page.
make you a co-host, and if you accept that.
Okay. I don't know if I. No, I think I'm taking your time now, so
it's all right. That's okay. It's
I can put it on the chat or something. No
okay.
idea. Absolutely no idea.
Now you are a co-host.
Okay. Oh, and I can share the screen. I see.
Yes, you can.
It's working.
Yeah.
Miracle. I hate it much more than anything else. So okay. So these are the chats. We close the chats. Not everybody has to read the chats now. When we were informed that the ban on abortion and the ban on sexual education is again on the table, it was in the middle of the pandemic restrictions. So the thing that we started with was just informing that we're going to do something, because many people were actually asking questions, what can we do? And we just said, we don't know it. We admitted that we don't know what we are going to do, because with the restrictions, we couldn't organize protests. But we made sure that, okay, we can do something. And we started with the visuals as always, because this is something that is the most important part of the fight. And don't believe anyone who says it's not. It's very, very important how we present the ideas, how we present the action, how we call for action. And we had this great project about stopping the ban on abortion and stopping sexual education. And we came with three major ideas that were different from what we usually do, like regular protesting. So one was something that was allowed officially, like queuing to the shops, because that was people were allowed to do, to go to the shops and queue to the shops. We called it queuing for freedom, and you can see the photos. And it was over 50 cities in Poland where people would actually organize this kind, because there were protests, of course. People would organize to queue to the shops, holding posters and banners and so on. So this was one type of resistance. The second thing was, and that was interesting, we had these visuals, these great visuals by Ola Jasionowska. She's our graphic designer for like 4 years. But the thing that happened, and we didn't think of it before, was that most people were at home. Most people weren't in their offices. So it wasn't like it always happens that we provide the design and people just print it out and put it. People had to do it by themselves. So the thing that we saw that it was that people got really engaged in producing their own designs and graphic signs and so on. So this is the the Thunderbolt became basically the symbol of resistance, not only for the ban on abortion, for the ban on sexual education, but against the government at some point. So we're very happy with that. The second thing we had to do it, was something we called Never-Ending Protest. It was 8 hours streaming about the protests, about things that are happening with female guests. So I was holding this whole protest for 8 hours on Saturday, and I had 48 guests, 10 minutes each, journalists, celebrities, activists, regular people who were protesting, and it had a huge impact on people, and it got people engaged in spite of the pandemic. Of course, we had the educational action about this, especially about the anti sexual the sexual education ban. And that was basically that. We also organized car protests, so people would drive their cars with posters and banners. Of course, it was organized, so people would meet at some point in different cities, not only Warsaw, but other cities in Poland. And we succeeded. And this is the thing that I believe that really strongly, that it was the closest that we've been to the total ban on abortion in Poland. So if we didn't do it, we would have the ban now. And it was just so surprising for everyone, even for us, to see that people got engaged and people resisted. Because if we didn't do it, they would just pass the ban, and we would have the ban on abortion and a ban on sexual education, using the pandemic, of course, as a mean not to stop us from doing that. Of course, we are persecuted for that, so the fines for breaking the sanitary rules that they try to push on us, it's 2,500 euros each, and it's about 150,000 euros hanging over our heads, people who were protesting. We started a committee, to have lawyers.
Marta,
So it cost us a lot.
Okay, you're back. Okay,
Hello?
sometimes sometimes your voice is breaking.
Okay. So but that's basically that. And this is if you ask me about the activities and the resistance during the pandemic times, this is, I think, the best example of resistance, and of the fact that we can always find a way to resist. Of course, this is saddening and annoying that it's always about stopping something, it's not about going forward. But still, we're happy that we managed to do that, because, as I said, it was the closest we've ever been to the ban on abortion in Poland. It's never been so close. So yes. I'm quite proud of that, I think.
I think you should be proud. Of course, it's clear. The thing is, I think that maybe it's hard to understand by people from abroad, is that what we are dealing with in Poland is not the protection of existing rights. It's the self defense from being denied any rights at the moment, because the attention is given to something else. And we're going to have presidential elections next week. World, everybody who's not from Poland, you need to know that. So I think we need to stop here with Poland, even though I could talk about it forever, because it's my country. Thank you so much, Anna and Marta. Thank you so much.
And I'm going back to the audience.
Please stay with us if you can. We're moving forward now to the next panelist. I'm stopping your screen to start sharing mine again, to show Elizabeth Skelter, who is representing the Older Women's Network Europe. And she's going to speak in a more pan-European perspective. Elizabeth, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation to join you. A real life course approach to the issues of feminism and also of aging. And the first thing I want just to say a few remarks, which to me are self-evident and probably to yourselves, but I still think bear mentioning. The first thing is that human rights do not diminish with age. They are for the whole of us throughout our life course until we die. And that is so important, and particularly we have seen this in the COVID situation. The second thing I want to say is that like women, we are not homogeneous, neither is Europe. So the issues that are facing older women in Europe are different in different countries. And we must remember that. And I'll come back to that at a later stage. I was asked to look at the consequences of COVID, and what we are seeing very much is the blatant ageism and age discrimination. Stereotypes and prejudice are there for everybody to see. We have seen it by the state. For example, the lack of preparedness, attention to the situation of older women in care homes, and care situations, and also for care workers, where the support to the hospitals, certainly in the UK, was there, and in other parts of Europe, but to the staff in care homes, not so. And that has exposed some of the tensions between care and health, and the differences that states make around that. I have to say that my colleagues in Greece say that this has not been the case, but because of the lack of state provision in terms of care, that older people and older women have been part of families and have been part of their communities before this happened and during. And therefore, she was very strongly saying that we have to remember that because societies are organized differently and that structures are different, it's not always the same thing in those countries. And she particularly wanted to tell me that about Greece. There is the issue of media and the issues of the challenging of it, the negative prejudice and stereotypes placed by older women and older women and older men, that it stokes up the intensive differences and deliberate divisions between old people of different ages, that intergenerational solidarity is challenged, which I think is something that we need to be mindful of, and we need to remember. This morning I was at a meeting of an older people's organization across Europe, and where they were able to say that one of the positive things about coronavirus has been that the connectedness of older people, more people being online, more older people having those connections. But I have to say that in consultations in Scotland by the Scottish Women's Convention, this is not always such a positive thing. It's because one of the challenges that we have is that governments wish to put access to services online. And if you don't have broadband cover in country areas, even in some islands on the west of Scotland, you will find a hotspot of cover in one part of the island, but in another part of the island, there will be no cover at all. So the issues have to be nuanced. You have to be sure that when we're talking to, whether it's particularly to local government and to national government, this one size fits all is an issue across many aspects of our lives. And one of the voices from the older women in one of those rural communities was to say, online is not the new normal for me. I do not want this to be the only way I can connect with people. It's online. I need face-to-face. And that for isolated rural older women is a real challenge. In terms of looking at the revitalization of the economy, and you have spoken, Leos, about the cuts to budgets, where is the investment going to go? Or what services? And the narrative is about re-envisioning and developing health and social care. But will it be, and it must be, in ensuring that we value that care work, that care workers are valued. Because unless we do that, we're going to go back to the same situation and those tensions between not only health and care workers, but other workers. They're talking again, revitalizing the economy and the issues of the unemployment. Unemployment will, well, certainly in the UK, we're talking about huge amount of unemployment. But one of the issues which is coming forward is that the importance of the informal economy, women's unwaged work. The women before the coronavirus, we were caring for, women were caring for children, they were doing adult care, and they were volunteering. And when we are investing in the future, we need to invest in those frameworks that support that work, not only for us to be able to remain in work, but all in paid work, but also to support us in doing that work, which we do voluntarily. And the case. I think one of the issues too we've seen is the increase in violence against older people, and older women experience intimate partner violence as well. And we've been struggling for many years to get the data recorded beyond age 49. You know, that's when it stops. Age 40, you're not expected to have interpersonal relationships after age 49. But I am pleased to say that the WHO is currently working on protocols for states around this issue of elder abuse, but which includes intimate partner violence. So there will be encouragement to ensure that governments are collecting. There will be an encouragement, but an expectation that governments will be collecting data in this area.
Thank you.
Yeah, have I done my time?
Almost.
Almost, oh dear. I think just also too, I would just like to say, use the frameworks that the EU give you, I have to say, because as UK, we will be out of Europe very shortly. But I'm just thinking of the victims of violence framework. Use what you have. It may not be perfect, but use it. And finally, I would like you to say that we are working on an international legal instrument on the rights of older people, and would invite all of you who are part of that to join the Global Alliance. It's free, the Global Alliance on the Rights of Older Persons, as your voices being heard in that support, in that life course approach, would ensure that we get there as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I actually have one question to you. As Marta was talking about forms of mobilization, how they mobilize people, how they make people get engaged. How do you do it as a network, as the Older Women's Network? How do you do that? Very practically.
Very practically, we have a board of 9 we're a small organization. We're not a large membership organization, but what we do is we try and we influence older people's organizations to address gender, and gender organizations to address age. And I have to say the latter is the more difficult. So we work in our local communities, so in the Netherlands, in Spain, in Malta, try to remember where we are, in Sweden, in Italy, that we're working with groups through other groups. Because we're small, we have no money, we just try and influence them. So when, for example, in Italy, there's a national active aging national project proposals coming through. Our colleagues there are ensuring that there is a gender perspective on that. So it is through others that we organize and we work. And for example, in my own community, I'm a member of my local older people's organization, and just make sure that when they are doing their work, that older women's issues are tackled. And many of those organizations are run and managed by older women, but they do not always see themselves they don't always take a feminist perspective, I would have to say. So we still have work to do there.
Sure. And do you take it to streets? Do you actually do street demonstrations?
Not recently. We have in the past. We have things like if you think about traffic and just crossing pedestrian crossings regularly to ensure that traffic slows down. But we don't at the moment. I think there's one organization, one older women's organization in Sweden that does take it to streets for sure.
I see.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
They're called the Red Berries, I think. They have
Red Berries.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was Elizabeth Skelter from the Older Women's Network. Now I would like to ask Eugenia to get ready. And Eugenia Bretones Espejo, who is going to speak in Spanish and then be translated by Saskia into English. So we would like to hear your perspective too. The floor is yours.
Gracias. Thank you. Hi. Buenas tardes, queridas compañeras oyentes. Permitirme dar las gracias a la plataforma Eurofeminist por el planteo y el debate. Os voy a explicar la experiencia que hemos tenido en Cataluña respecto a la gestión y la gestión de la crisis sanitaria y la postcrisis de la COVID.
So first of all, Eugenia wants to say thank you that she can be part of this debate, and she will be actually explain the situation of the Catalan administration or the Catalan administration issues during the COVID and also after the COVID-19 crisis, or post-COVID.
Sí, hicimos llegar al Gobierno de la Generalitat una propuesta declarativa como ejercicio intelectual a dos frentes que serían los retos o las dimensiones a tener en cuenta desde la perspectiva feminista para la gestión de la crisis sanitaria y otra parte de la declaración eran los retos que teníamos que abordar como país, como región, para la gestión de la crisis social y económica después de la sanitaria de COVID. Yo me centraré en esta segunda parte en la exposición para explicaros cómo fue el proceso y las conclusiones.
So there were two things handed into the local government, which is called the Generalitat of Catalunya. So Eugenia will present us actually the kind of advices that they gave to the Generalitat in terms of what could be succeeded after the COVID-19 crisis, and mainly also focusing on the economic aspects of this.
Las principales desigualdades que encontramos durante la crisis, las anuncio, eran las desigualdades que hay respecto a las economías de los cuidados, las diferencias en cuanto a la participación en el trabajo remunerado de hombres y mujeres, la brecha digital que se puso de manifiesto tanto en el impacto en la educación, el trabajo o la participación sociopolítica, y en términos de salud y violencias machistas e institucionales de las mujeres durante la pandemia.
Sorry, I was muted for a moment. So actually the kind of expose that they presented focused obviously on the economic differences or I missed the word right now, imbalances, and especially for these people who are in care work, which is usually and mostly taken out by women. Then also she will also go inside of the differences between when you talk about care work, also about the normal work and between women and men, how the difference are actually during COVID crystallize. Then also the social political aspects and obviously also the health aspects, including also gender violence and domestic violence.
dirigimos una petición organizativa para canalizar las demandas al gobierno que se basaban en observar que la incorporación del mainstreaming de género en todo el abordaje de la respuesta del impacto socioeconómico, tanto en las medidas estructurales como en los fondos extraordinarios, reflexionar en el modelo para potenciar cambios estructurales en el modelo de los cuidados y en el modelo de prevención y asistencia a las violencias machistas. Y por último, garantizar la participación democrática de la sociedad civil en la toma de decisiones del gobierno para la gestión de la poscrisis. El nuevo modelo de gobierno que pedíamos, queríamos que pasara de ser reactivo a proactivo, de fragmentado a integrado y centrado en las personas.
So the petition that they handed into their local government should actually, or was supposed to be, an integrated petition or an integrated model, basically focused into the people. And doing their, or in the side of the petition, they kind of had the gender mainstreaming angle and wanted to demonstrate a bit that they have to change the structural, that we have to receive structural changes, especially to tackle the situation of the older people, the situation of the gender-based violence, and also the socio-economic governance and the socio-political governance. So this is a kind of new model that they presented to the government, and yeah, I hope Eugenia will tell us more what happened after.
Por último, bueno, explicar que la declaración se hace pública el 22 de abril, la asume el Consejo Nacional de Dones de Cataluña y la hace llegar al Gobierno de Cataluña, y en fecha 19 de mayo se aprueba el Gabinete para la Justicia Social, Económica y Feminista. 15 días más tarde, el Gobierno de la Generalitat crea un grupo de expertos con 30 personas que sí que es paritario respecto a la dimensión sexo-género, pero con 30 personas que ninguna curricularmente tiene la perspectiva o educación feminista dentro de su curricular.
Okay, so actually the declaration or the petition that they handed in led towards the outcome that on the that they kind of formed a circle of 30 people with experts to actually tackle this petition and to kind of set it into place. What Eugenia right now is criticizing as well, that none of these 30 people, although there was a gender balance, none of these people were actually experts in gender mainstreaming or in any gender issue. So although there's a success, obviously there's still some lack, and let's see what happens after.
Actualmente el Gabinete para la Justicia Social ha realizado una reunión y tiene agenda, pero como conclusiones, visto los otros dos organismos que se han creado para el diagnóstico y gestión de lo que serían las ayudas y los proyectos post-COVID, llegamos a las siguientes conclusiones del grupo de trabajo, que sería la inexistencia del mainstreaming del género y la mirada interseccional en el análisis y diseño de las políticas y prioridades a consecuencia de la crisis sanitaria por parte del gobierno. Y como segundo, las barreras de acceso a la participación de las mujeres en los espacios formales de decisión. De manera que seguimos estando en un modelo de colaboración o de red. Por último, es decir, que se decide para las mujeres, pero no con las mujeres. Por todo ello, nuestra conclusión es que hace falta empoderar a las mujeres para activar su participación política y social.
Perdón, Eugenia, ¿puedes Perdón, ¿me puedes repetir lo que al final habéis logrado en plan, porque yo tengo aquí...
El gabinete.
Sí, sí, pero el gabinete no, al final...
El gabinete está creado, pero se han creado otra estructura paralela de expertos.
Ah, vale, vale, ok, perdón.
De manera que lo que queremos nosotros explicar como experiencia es que aunque hay discursos y narrativas de igualdad de género, no hay acciones ni presupuestos que incorporen esta perspectiva.
Vale, ok. So, sorry, I just had to ask something to understand the context better. So the petition that they actually handed in actually led to the cabinet that we were just talking about, of the 30 people. And there was also a part of that cabinet is also a second group of experts leading the topics of mainstreaming, but not really being able to actually implement the strategies that were suggested. So what Eugenia actually says is it was like maybe a part success, but there is still some lack that there are actually not the women who can decide or have the power in the decision, especially in this situation right now. Even though these cabinets and petitions get moved forward, there is a lack of the power to actually implement certain structures and implement also the change. So I hope I kind of...
Thank you. Thank you very much, Saskia.
Thank you so much, Eugenia and Saskia, for your translation. Thank you so much, both of you. At this point, I would like to turn to all the panelists and also everybody who's either watching us on Facebook or here on Zoom. You see, you have tackled very different subjects to start with, from gender-based violence, systemic violence, political participation, older women's rights, social participation, etc., putting them in different contexts of different countries, but also showing, I think, very clearly what was very clear in what you said individually, is that you either tackle subjects from more institutional or more, I would say the bottom up or civil society point of view. And here's my question to all of you: if you are engaged on regular basis in councils, in political or structured organizations, how then do you work, or if you do, in what way do you need the support of, we call it in Polish, the street? So people who are the street opposition, people who are there as activists. And the other way around, if you're activists, how do you see more institutionalized cooperation? Because at the end, we need to be structured and organized and also speak the same language, which is not a mother tongue for most of us here, which is English or French or Spanish, if we want to address European institutions or international institutions as NEUS, DAS, for example. So could you please comment on that? Did it also come to your mind when you were listening to other speakers, that not only is the subject different, but also the way to approach it? And do you see any complementarity? How do you see it? Who would like to comment on that? I see Elizabeth, and then please just feel free to answer.
I just was very humbled by Marta's presentation and the work that she is organizing and her colleagues are doing together. I think I have been saying to the organization that we're part of, which is the Pan-European Organization for Older People, Age Platform Europe, that we need better communication and we need sharper images. And I just loved those images that she showed. And I understand we are just about to get a new communications strategy and an outside organization to help us. But I am going to give Marta's details, because I just think that is so important. And Maciek is from Poland originally, and he's just taken over as the new Secretary General of Age Platform Europe. So he may be in touch, Marta. I hope he is. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Communication and visual. Yeah.
Neus, maybe you want to comment. You've been very silent today, and I know you have plenty of stuff to say.
I'm supposed to be co-moderating today, but it was. I think it's like the main issue how we connect our let's say grassroots street initiatives with a more institutionalized strategies, and sometimes we have like this let's say this feeling of not even not being connected, but of disaffection that sometimes the institutionalization spaces, we feel a bit afraid of them because we know that sometimes, and for us in Catalonia, sometimes the feeling is that we work a lot, and sometimes our knowledge, our expertise, our times, our work, it's just like being let's say kidnapped or let's say adopted for policymakers without any kind of recognition or value, and they introduce them in their political agenda or political measures, but afterward nothing is putting in place. So we always have this kind of discussion or let's say we are confronting ourselves in which is the measure to come in institutionalization, how can we cooperate without being also being institutional, being maltreated from the institutions as well. We think that I think that we are in a time that it's important to try to be involved, but also to value ourselves and measure very much, and also demand very strongly when we are in institutions, which is going to be the methodology, which are the topics, the focus topics, where are we going to participate and how, who is going to be there, and if we participate, our demands, our expertise, our work, how is going to be used. So with this focus, I think we can have a safe, let's say, and cooperating environments that can help us to build and to contribute from bottom-up policy making processes. But we are always at risk, so I think it's very important always to demand which is going to be the methodology, which spaces are we going to be in, and how is going to be used. And thank you, Gosia. I don't know if there is any question from the public as well.
Yes, we actually received one first question. So I'm gonna bring it up. So that's from Brynhildur Ómarsdóttir. Sorry for the pronunciation.
She was our panelist in the first debate. Hello, Brynhildur. It's so great to see you.
Yes, from Iceland, right?
Yes.
Yes. So her question is, are there any lessons we are learning during COVID-19 that we can use to build a better and more equal future? So I'm going to repeat it. Are there any lessons we are learning during COVID-19 that we can use to build a better and more equal future? And she says one example she can think of is closer transnational cooperation between NGOs, as we are learning to integrate online meetings like this one now on Zoom into our work and strategy building. Is it clear, the question? Great.
Well, I just want to comment on that. First of all, thank you so much for being with us again. It's amazing to have you from Iceland. When we follow the example of Iceland, and Marta also, and Anna from Poland, you know very well about that, because we used your example to make our marches and protests in 2016, which is great. The thing about the cooperation is actually, I mean, the idea here behind this Zoom is also to bring the subjects to a broader, to an attention of the broader public, but also to each other's attention. Now, when we are so busy with our own problems going on and escalation of systemic violence, as we can see it in Poland, for example, I think we really need to keep on exchanging with people from different countries and see what the situation looks like in their places, not only to see the, let's say, European trends, but to see better what is going on with us. Adriana, do you think there is any way for the guests, the participants, to take the floor? Can they, or can they just exchange via chat?
I think then the host has to give them the rights.
Oh. Okay, I will try to work on that. So I will see if I have this option, but maybe we can just move to the other comment or question.
Yes, so there was another comment from Mahita Marzouk, and she's saying, I think as mentioned, strong communication is key to achieve, and visuals are always key, which I think is a bit what Elizabeth was saying. Also, one standardized among group, creating a branding image, make the reach quicker and homogeneous. Also, communicating positive practical solutions is key to all parties, whether engaging and empowering women or decision makers. Women engagement creates economic opportunity, and this should be a key focus. I salute all of you for your passion and value you for adding to this. So it's like a comment. I don't know if anybody of the panelists wants to add anything or offer from feedback, but I see Marta wants raising her hand, so
Yeah.
we'll give the floor to Marta then.
Yeah, I will try the sharing the screen thing, so please be patient. Oh, works, but it's not. Wait. Because I have basically, I would say, visuals with the International Women's Strike. So we have some kind of experience with that. I would try to share the screen now because this is the screen from the interview with the original author of the graphics that we use, the designs that we used for Polish Women's Strike. But we also use this as a base, and it was used for the International Women's Strike. So this is the basis. I don't know if you see that. Do you see that? Do you see my screen or not?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the basics, the Polish one, and then we change that and see how it evolved in many different ways, especially because it was very Eurocentric, and it didn't have all the diversity that we should obviously have. So it was also a lesson. It was a matter of trust, and we're very happy that nobody got angry that they just did the visuals that they needed in Latin America, for example, or even in Europe. So and we are the proof of that, and the International Women's Strike was the proof of that, that it was not about pushing one logo, because we never agree, we will never agree on anything, but the general rule and the general with that worked, and people took it and changed the colors and changed the shapes and used this as their own, and it's used since then, since 2017. So this is something that I think should be really considered as something that is actually easily done to make a statement, like international statements on something. Yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to say. And now I try to stop sharing this. I will also put the link to this article to the chat. Okay. I'll mute.
Adriana, is there any other question that you see?
We just get like a thank you comment from Montse Pineda, that she's from Creación Positiva, an NGO here based in Barcelona. And she was also a panelist on the first debate that we had. And she's just saying, thank you very much. It has been really interesting. So thank you to the panelists for that. But we don't have any other question or comment specifically.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I think it's time for maybe Neus to take over.
I'm not sure if maybe Kiki Petroulaki or Anna or Eugenia or Elizabeth would like to just do the last remark, a key message of any kind of feminist alternative or just a key message, a last remark for them. Anna, the floor is yours. I see you are raising your hand, and afterwards, Kiki, you can just contribute with yours. Thank you.
So it's undeniable that this issue is really complex, and I think that that activists and their amazing initiatives aren't effective too much, because we need cooperation on every level. And in Poland, we are in dire need of sweeping changes, because the things which are going now are frightening for us. We are devastated by the ongoing situation, and I think that only cooperation and staying united can make us feel calm and happy, because in our country, a lot of people, everyone deserves respect and human rights, but it's not obvious in our country. So we should initiatives to be multi-way, and we should effective initiatives. And I am proud of people who act, who react properly. But I think that we need more actions, more decisions, and more changes. And I hope our future will change, and we will help more and be more efficient. And I think I would like to repeat: cooperation, staying united, and changes. We need changes. Okay, thank you.
Kiki, would you like to introduce your last remarks?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I would like to say 2 words about the question about lessons learned, which is very much related to Gosia's question. Because as a matter of fact, due to the crisis, they consider that the COVID-19 was a crisis. So institutions understand the real need to act quickly and urgently, but they were not very able to do so because they are used to work in a certain rhythm with certain steps that takes time, and this gives the opportunity to cooperate a little bit more close in order for governmental agencies to gain a little bit of flexibility because they need it due to the crisis, and us to start not using the same language, but trying to find the same language to cooperate with governmental institutions. And this is important if it is if we are able to retain it after the crisis, because what is not very well understood in most countries or in some countries is that intimate partner violence is always a crisis. So it's not okay if you handle it like a bureaucratic issue with your pace. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Kiki. Elizabeth, I can see your hand raised. Please.
Yeah. Just very quickly, I think older people across Europe, which is including older women and older men, are very angry, and we need to capitalize on that energy and emotion, but direct it effectively. It's got to be effective. And certainly and one of the very first webinars that I was part of, it was not a particularly feminist or gender perspective, it was the Professor Israel Doran from Israel was saying that unless older people's voices are heard and older people come together to ensure their voices are heard, whether it's street action or through trying to influence the institutions or the structures that are available to us to influence. We need both, but unless that voice is there powerfully, as it was for those with disabilities when they were advocating for a convention on the rights of people with disabilities, which was passed very quickly by the UN, I think we are going to struggle for years for our convention. So for me, it is about harnessing the energy and the voice and the platform and the visual, the visibility that we have at the moment to make it a positive visibility and to to make that positive rather than seeing us as negative and weak and vulnerable. We are not. Some of us are, but then some younger people are weak and vulnerable due to their conditions. So it's not a question of just age in itself. The issues need to be very much more nuanced. Thank you. That's it. And thank you very much for letting me participate.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Eugenia, would you like to do your last remark? A key message for the end. Eugenia,
Sí.
¿quieres decir un mensaje final para terminar o...?
Sí, sí, bueno, aportar solo, sí, si me lo permite, sí. Bueno, aportar de que es necesaria la colaboración transnacional para poder armonizar todas aquellas ideas y políticas que nos unen a los movimientos feministas en los diferentes estados de la Unión Europea y buscar los puntos de armonización para hacer lo que sería la función de advocacy a nivel europeo para las mujeres. Esta sería como mi conclusión.
So Eugenia's final conclusion would be actually to, she sees it's necessary, obviously, to continue international collaboration to harmonize political ideas across Europe, but also to harmonize the advocacy across Europe and, yeah, continue to collaborate.
Thank you so much. I'm really thankful because it has been just a really inspiring discussion and with the inputs of all of you, all the panelists, and a really high participation also from the public. I think that we have had a space not only for a theoretical reflection, but also to see how in our regions, in our countries, we are working, and thank you for your fierce work and constant work. And I would like to just to thank you all and also to invite you because to keep on this strengthening the communication between us, as most of you were highlighting. We need to be in touch, to communicate, to support each other works, to bring collective demands. I think that all of us are interested in knowing what is going on in Poland, what is going on in Greece, what is going on in England, what is going on in Spain, what is going on in Iceland, in everywhere. So this way we can just have a more wide idea, and also to bring and join our own energy to strengthen the local action that each of you is doing in your country, and also strengthen our global action at the European level. So thank you for all these absolutely amazing and cross-cutting issues that you brought up this afternoon. And I'm looking forward to have you again for the next and third debate. Let me tell you that we are preparing a document, a conclusion document. Saskia is going to help us to sum up everything that we are sharing in all these debates, because we think it's going to be a very useful document for all of us to have our contacts, also our conclusions, and also to advocate in a common objective and aim. So that's all for today, but let's keep in touch. You can just write us and be in our list server. We have an open list server where each of us we can be in and share and be in contact with each other, just only by sending our initiatives and our goals and demands through this list server. You have it on the chat. And thank you very much to all, and thank you also, Gosha, for being such a great moderator for this debate. Thank you. See you next.
Thank you. I just want to say one more thing. Yeah, that we need some umbrella organization or initiative, and that's for me the Feminist Europe platform that you started. can be very helpful. And also that, yes, there is going to be the conference on the future of Europe, which will decide on the budgeting, on the priorities, on policy solutions. And we want to get involved in that for sure. But also that, the fact that we can talk to each other is not only the way to see the problems that we face, but also solutions and good practices. But yes, solutions that you find. For example, I'm always amazed to hear about the Catalan Council for women, for equality, for women's rights, that we don't have in Poland. And I think the more I hear about that, the more I'm convinced that we should struggle for that. So it's also something that I learned from working with you. I want to thank you and wish you a good afternoon. Please let's be in touch. And let's continue this debate. I mean, we first called it women's rights, COVID future, but maybe COVID is the future. And we don't know if there's any future without COVID. So we may have a long way ahead of us doing these debates. We wish you all to be healthy, to be in good shape, ready for the next struggles. Thank you a lot. Have a good afternoon.